Preston, and I'm here to talk about a whole wheat artisan bread for you to try. The recipe is from Healthy Bread in 5 minutes a day, and it is just a wonderfully easy, nice, about 70% whole wheat bread that you can easily do in about 5 minutes a day. So, it's in your packet. And I'm actually going to only do half of the recipe because you can either double or half it, really easy, but it's a whole grain artisan free-form loaf. There's also other recipes in there for a soft sandwich bread and hamburger buns in there, as well as some other interesting facts about things you need to know when you make bread. So let's get started. I have 2 3/4 cup whole wheat flour.
What grinds?
That is just bought out of the store. So if you grind your own, great. I don't know what grind. It's just the only one I can find in my little store in Preston.
Because they have a gram grind and they have several different wheats.
It kind of depends on what you like. If you like a more coarse bread, then maybe you want a larger grind then. The second one is a cup of just all-purpose white flour. We have 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. That's just a packet of yeast, if you're wondering. They've cut down the salt a little bit in it, and it's only a teaspoon and a half of kosher salt. And then they add gluten, 2 tablespoons of gluten, which helps the bread rise and have a better structure to it. So then you just take a little whisk, mix it all together. Then you're going to add 2 cups of hot, lukewarm to hot water. Just dump it all in.
Does this work gluten-free?
The gluten really helps it. They have some other recipes in the same cookbook if you're interested, which is referenced on the back of the recipe, that are gluten-free. So you're just mixing it until you get all of the flour caught up in it, which for me can take a few minutes, but okay, so once you've got all the flour mixed in, then I'm just going to scrape off my spoon. But then you just cover it loosely. So if you have one of these lovely quart things, if you have to pop, you don't want to pop, you don't want it tight on. You want it popped a little bit so it can breathe. I also saw the lady who created the book, Zoe Francois, she actually drilled a hole in it so she could tightly put on the lid. And then you just let it sit out for 2 hours. Once it is set out for 2 hours, you have a lot of options. You can form it into your bread right then. You can stick it in the fridge and leave it in the fridge for up to 14 days and pull from it and make your bread anytime you want from it. So here we have, if we can get a fairly good picture, here we have what it looks like after your 2 hours at room temperature. No, I'll show this. So then I'm just going to take some flour, and you want to be fairly liberal, especially if you don't stick it in the fridge. If you stick it in the fridge, it's not so sticky, but if you don't, then it's a little bit sticky. And I actually have some gloves. So just while she's grabbing my gloves, I'm going to this makes 2 loaves. I'm going to divide it in half and show you how to make a very quick, free-form loaf. So I'm just dividing it in half, which just sticks to my gloves. So then you're just going to fold the edges around to the bottom. And then I personally like the oblong, the oval loaves. But you can make them round, you can make whatever you want. So here we have it again. It doesn't take very much to do the free-form loaf. So there you go. Once you get that, if it's been in the fridge, you want it to raise for an hour and a half. And I believe if you don't have it in the fridge, then it only has to raise for 40 minutes in this form. So then I'm just going to cover these. And it's always nice to put just a little oil or nonstick spray on it so that when you go to pull them off, they don't stick to your bread.
I can't see through you. There's no ulterior motive.
So here we go. These have been out a little more than an hour and a half because we didn't quite get started when I was hoping. So they've raised a little bit more. So I'm going to pull these off. Then they recommend that you brush them with water. And for me, I like that because it kind of gets rid of the flour, so you have a little bit of flour there. So then I can kind of get rid of the flour.
Oh, I had an alternative motive.
And then if you like to put any sort of little cuts in them, you can cut in them about 1/4 inch is what, so they're kind of thicker. I'm going to just go ahead and put an X on this one and maybe put a few like that. Okay, so about half an hour before it's time to bake them, you're going to want to preheat your oven, and if you like to use a stone to cook it on, which is a wonderful way to cook it, you want to stick your stone in the oven while it's preheating. You can also then put a broiler pan underneath the stone, and you pour a little water in when you put them in, and it will give you a nice, thicker, kind of heavier crust on your bread instead of a thinner one if you don't do that. You can also just put it on a cookie sheet and bake it in the oven. So I'm going to have Shar here go ahead and show you how that's done. And here we go with the water. If you can, it's good to get in, dump your water in, and catch as much of that steam as possible. Okay, 30 minutes. She's timing us for 30 minutes. And then you're going to pull it out. And this is my pulled out bread. They really do recommend that you let it cool fully before you start to cut it, because the cooling is also part of the cooking process because it's still hot. And voila, you have your artisan bread. Are there any questions? Yes.
I give a testimonial to letting it cool first, because it really is kind of doughy if you are in too much of a hurry, which you sometimes are.